there's 2 of them. Got 1. Let's drop mixed seeds. Because those cherry bombs are actually kind of helpful. I mean, I'll just use it pretty much immediately, but... Okay, what was I talking about? What was I talking about? Camp games on the beach. I was talking about... Ooh, I should grab that for a bundle. The crab pot bundle, I think. But man, oh man. I'm trying to gather all this stuff and have such a small inventory. I gotta get that definitely before the season's over, which should be doable. I hate it when this is overrun like this. At least we're getting monster meat. Alright, we're gonna go use this cherry bomb real quick so I can actually have some space for quartz. Let's use it right there. Come on. Okay, cool. Oh gosh, they're everywhere, man. We're getting out of here. Okay. Alright, my throat's getting scratchy. Hold on, y'all. Okay, had to let myself cough. I'm muted, so y'all didn't even hear. Ha ha ha! That's the sign of a YouTuber who's been doing it for gosh darn 8 years? Oh my goodness, can't believe it. Can't believe it. It's so bonkers to think of how long I've been doing this. So, anyway, back to Amsterdam. When we, the last night, we went and stayed right near the airport just to make it easier for us in the morning, you know. And so there was this hotel, like, basically at the airport. And it's one of these hotels that's like every room is super small and it's got like everything in the one room. So it had like the shower, the toilet, they're just right there. And you have these like sliding glass things that, you know, for the toilet was clouded. So you could, you know, have a little privacy, clouded glass, but the shower was not. So it was a very intimate room. And, you know, I thought it was neat. You know, it was pretty silly, but it had like LEDs on the ceiling that you could control the lighting color and like you could control the blinds and stuff like that. So Chrissy had fun just like playing around with all the stuff in the room. So that was a neat experience for the last day, or last night rather. And but then in the morning, and this is why it scared us and why I was like, I need to take COVID tests. We found out on the day where we were going to be leaving, or the day before we were going to be leaving. Was it the day of, or was it the day before? Now I'm trying to think. It was the day before. It was the day before. Because you have to get your COVID test within 24 hours of leaving. And you get that one done at the airport, or we decided to do it on the first day because we didn't want to get stuck over there, basically. So what ended up happening is one of Chrissy's co-workers ended up testing positive for COVID. And we had all been in very close proximity all week. Or actually, at least like for the past like 3 days at that point, 3 or 4 days. And so, you know, we're about to leave and get on a plane the next day. So we start freaking out. And, you know, everybody who has to leave is freaking out because it was the last day and a lot of people had to go home. And so we immediately took tests in the room, like the at-home test, because we're like, okay, if we're positive, there's no reason to go down to the airport and even take the other test. We're just going to have to figure out, you know, everything from there. Quarantine and stuff. So that was scary, but everybody that we were with at that moment, because we weren't with her coworker who was positive at that moment, tested negative. Everybody who was there with us in that room and who had been close to us over those past that last day. We all tested negative, so that was great. So then we immediately went over to the airport to get our test done, because we're like, well, if we are asymptomatic or if it hasn't kicked in yet or whatever, we need to get home, you know? And so we immediately went over and got our tests. Again, we were negative when we went to do it at the airport as well. So, you know, double verified that we didn't have it. What can I get rid of? You know, we have a ton of stone. It's fine. So what do we got here? 1 to 5, plus 1 crit, plus to crit power, 9 to 16. I like the swing on this, you know? Level 1 versus level 2. We're just going to go ahead and throw it. The daggers are too short range for me. Okay, so yeah. So that was scary, but we ended up being fine. And so that's why when I got home, though, and I started feeling awful, I was like, oh, no. So I took a COVID test yesterday to make sure it wasn't that, and it's not. And I figured not because I don't have like a fever or any of that kind of stuff. It's just the congestion. It's just the it's the same stuff I always get from allergies. So, you know, I wasn't surprised that I wasn't actually sick. So yeah, so it was an exciting, to say the least, last day. And, you know, then we flew. And, you know, the airport at Amsterdam is huge, in Amsterdam. And it was a pretty neat one to be at. But there's like I think there are strikes going on over there. I'm not fully sure of the situation. I think that the air workers are striking for their rights, which I fully support. Obviously, you know, when you got to travel, you got to travel. So it was slower getting through, which is fine. Chrissy and I are both the kind of people who we would rather get to the airport, you know, 3 hours early, get through, you know, check in and all that kind of stuff, and then have to sit there for an hour and a half. We'd rather do that than be like rushing to try and get there on time. And there were several people in line with us who were like, oh no, I'm going to totally miss my flight because security, I think it took us like, gosh, how long? It was probably like an hour in just one line to get to customs, and then customs took like another 30 or 40 minutes. Like we had, by the end of it, we had left like 3 hours early, and by the end of it, we had maybe 20 or 30 minutes at the gate. So that's why, you know, we're glad that we go early, you know? That's the kind of people we are. Anxious is a word you might use for it. Okay. Let's see if we can't get ourselves a final ladder. It is getting late, so I'd love it if we could just make this. Hey, look at that. Nothing there. We would love to get a glow ring if possible. These aren't finished yet, right? No. We got a good amount of copper. Can't lie. That's enough to upgrade another tool and then some. So we just need the money. So yeah, we got through customs fine, got through everything fine on the Netherlands side. Went and Chrissy really wanted Burger King breakfast because that's her favorite when it comes to like a fast food breakfast kind of sandwich deal. And on the map, like on the Google Maps, it said that there was one, that it was open, that it should have been like right there. And so we walked around looking for it, and we could not find it. It was like some kind of Narnia style Burger King, and we did not know which wardrobe to go through. So we ended up, you know, just grabbing some McDonald's. And I'll say this, one thing that I really dig over there that y'all do that we don't do over here, but we really should, is y'all have like fully automated checkout for like so many things. And it's on like a big screen. And, you know, you just do like touch screen stuff and like boop, bop, boop, bop, boop in order to make it happen, to order your stuff and whatnot. And it's just like that's so much simpler and more efficient, I think, than having to take an order with a person. And, you know, kind of like there's more steps to that, and there's a level of like confusion that can enter into it, you know? And so when you're doing it on an app kind of deal, it's 100% your fault if you screw up your order. All right, level 4 farming. So now we want a preserves jar. So I need to get my tree tappers going. I need to get my foraging up. Unless I already have the recipe. I may already have the recipe. We're going to probably go fishing today. Try and make some money. And I think if it's only 1,000 for an upgrade, I might go upgrade my pickaxe. Actually. Weather report for tomorrow is going to be a beautiful sunny day. Fortune teller. Spirits are very happy today. Cool. All right, I was expecting another person to be like, hey, Price. All right, what do we got here? All the parsnips in the world. Got 1 gold. Apparently I've missed some waterings. 3 gold so far. All right, we're close. We only need 2 more. So that's good. Let's grab our watering can. Let's grab our rod. Let's turn all of this into bait. Put that on there. Cool. Where am I going to put stones? I guess I'll put Oof. Don't need to be doing that. I'll put stones in here. Like, it's not going to hurt being in there. Crab I'll throw in here, I guess. I should go talk to Sophia today. We will leave... You know what? This is where I left seeds before, I think, so I'll leave that in there as well. And let's get to watering. So anyway, we get to... we go to the McDonald's, we get ourselves some sandwiches, we sit down in front of our gate, and that was that. Easy day, you know, nothing too bad on that actual day. And you know, I'm a very anxious person, as y'all have probably learned over the years of me playing games here on the internet. If you're new to the channel, I'm a very anxious person. Hi, my name is Price. I definitely have anxiety, but don't worry, because I'm treating it medically, because that's a good way of dealing with your mental health problems, is seeking help and then following the advice of your doctor. And if medication is something that you need, then you should get it. And don't feel any stigma associated with it, because ultimately our culture has not quite caught up with what is simple, normal, and something that many, 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 many people go through, and you don't need to feel alone in that, nor should you feel any stigma. Hi, we like to talk about mental health here sometimes. You know, we go to the gate, we get in our plane, totally fine. I'm sitting here telling like I'm telling a story. I'm just walking you through the day. There's not much to this story. But you know, it's like a 9-10 hour flight, I think. Maybe it was like 8. But you know, that's a long one. That's a long one.
Me dealing with all the anxious parts.
Oh, Chrissy comes in here. She has to correct. She said she was the one dealing with all of the anxious parts.
Because I knew you'd be anxious.
Because she knew I would be anxious. Thank you.
I love you.
I appreciate you helping with my anxiety.
Love you.
Love you. She can definitely hear me throughout the entire apartment, so she wanted to come and make sure she gets the credit that she deserves. Which she does. Okay. So, but on the flight, I guess this is what I was going to get to. You know, they have the screens and everything like that, and you can watch movies and things. And so we ended up watching this movie called The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. And y'all, you know, it's like a rom-com type of thing, which I'm not usually into, but it was hilarious. I thought it was super funny. And we both really enjoyed it, and so I should take that with me. We both really enjoyed it. I would strongly recommend it. It's silly, but in all the best ways. Channing Tatum, obviously, he's hilarious all the time. And yeah, we loved it. So strongly recommend. Ooh, we got a lot of copper bars. Let's go upgrade our pickaxe. Then we'll go down and see Sophia, and then we'll fish for the rest of the day, I think. All right, I'm going to put the gold ones in here. Let's organize. We need to get 2 more of those. Okay. But yeah, beyond that, flight was great. The travel was great. It really wasn't that bad. When we got to the US, you know, getting through customs is more intense. Like, there's definitely more steps to it and more, like, you definitely see the differences when you're like in the Netherlands and it's like some dude behind a plexiglass thing and he's like, so what were you here for? And we're like, oh, work trip, all this kind of stuff. He's like, oh, that's cool. That's a lot of fun, And we just, talk a little bit and then it's like, okay, cool. Go on your way. Have fun. Whereas in the States, they kind of grill you. They were nice. I'll be totally upfront. They were nice. They weren't like, being aggressive or anything like that. But it's just so interesting to see the contrast. How much is this? It's like 5, right? Oh, it's only 2. Oh. Heck yeah. We're going to do that. We still have 1,000 for my pickaxe. Oh, this is great. Cool. I was going to buy seeds, but because I could get that backpack, I think that's actually more valuable. Because usually when I'm fishing, I run out of space just because of the number of fish. Okay. So yeah, there is a stark contrast from getting into the U.S. Versus getting out of the Netherlands, or even getting into the Netherlands. When we landed in the Netherlands and the first day, and we had to go through customs, super easy. Kind of the same deal as when we were leaving the country. So it's fair. Oh no, it's 2K. I thought it was 1. All right, it's fine. I don't need the copper pickaxe as much as I would like to have the bigger backpack, so it's fine. I'll get it the next time we get some plants. I could go then buy a bunch of like potato seeds or something like that. Maybe some parsnips and get those planted real fast. Because there's still some fertilizer on the ground that I can use, is my thought. So if potatoes can get done, which they should, I think it's like 8 days. 6 days, totally. Let's just buy a bunch of these. Yeah, we'll just buy as many as we can. 22. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back. We're going to plant these potatoes. We're going to water these potatoes. We're going to go down. We're going to give a flower to Sophia. And then we're going to go to the beach and we're going to fish. So that's what we're going to do. I'm also realizing that I probably should have said an outro at the end of the last day, because that definitely was 1 episode. Because I'm looking at my time. And yeah. Anyway, that one's just going to, end. It's just going to, it's going to fall out of the ether, and you're not going to hear an outro, but that's okay. That's okay. Y'all would already know that because that was last episode. Okay, let's do that and that. Okay. Watering can. Now, I know I could put more fertilizer on these guys, but I don't feel like I need to be wasting fertilizer on these. I'm going to make enough money as is. At this point, it's just kind of like bonus, I feel like. I don't have a lot of money makers over here, but at the same time, I'm going to be making most of my money from fish for now, I think. I just have to remember to actually water all this stuff just because it is money. It's not like I'm not getting value. Okay, it's fine that I have this in my backpack. We got plenty of space. Can I get around these pieces of wood? Yes, I can. I was realizing that because I don't have my axe on me, it might be an issue. But those potatoes will be good money, so it's not like it's a bad thing. So yeah. Gosh, that's so funny. So like the last episode, my Amsterdam discussion is going to stop right in the middle of it. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Y'all, when watching that, you're going to be like, what? Huh? You get it now. You get it now. They updated this. Used to be you took, right when you got off of that, it put you into Sophia's. Which we did have to update all the mods. So that's not a surprise to me. Oh, please tell me she's not in town. Okay, good. I was realizing sometimes she's not here. Here you go. No. 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 There we go. For me? Thank you so much. I don't get to the saloon much, but I'll be there tomorrow if you want to say hi. Oh. I hope Gus has orange chicken. I love orange chicken. All right. We're still at only 1 heart. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while, y'all. Okay, now off to the beach. So, that all the way over there. Like, you can use that. How y'all doing? Like I said, sometimes we like to talk about mental health. Sometimes we like to talk about just psychology-related stuff. I have a list of things that y'all have left in comments that I look over and see if there's anything that we could talk about on here. Anything that like I can provide some knowledge on because I studied psychology for The better part of 12 years? Gosh, such a long time. So, I will, consider myself somewhat of an expert. Looking through y'all's questions from last time, one of the interesting subjects that y'all brought up was the subject of cognitive dissonance, which is definitely super interesting. Something that we kind of experience, I would say, a lot more nowadays culturally than in previous eras. And that's not true. Like I say that and it's totally not true. It's just that it's so much more in our face because of social media. You kind of are constantly exposed to people's opinions and beliefs. And it's not just the people that you interact with, right? It's people from all over the world. And so there can be so many clashes of views within our own country, but also within countries around the world. So it's just more obvious, the issues the different values that we hold, the different beliefs that we have, and that goes straight into cognitive dissonance. So those of y'all who don't really know what cognitive dissonance is, that's sort of when, it's the concept of something that you already know, a belief, knowledge on something, facts and whatnot, contradicts what you already have, right? You learn some new information and it contradicts beliefs that you already hold. It contradicts things that you could hold very dear and close to you, things that might be parts of your personality and deep into your core, right? I think this happens a lot with people's beliefs on spirituality, on paranormal issues, on religion. Cognitive dissonance comes up a lot because frequently, especially when like you're brought up in the church or in like some belief system, and from a young age, there's certain things that you take for granted and you might not get a full exposure to things, right? Like, let's say, for example, your belief system is creationist, all right? We'll just say that, all right? I'm not trying to offend out there. Just it's an example here, right? And so maybe you believe that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, right? Maybe that's what you were taught when you were younger. And that's a belief that you carry forward your whole life. And then you get to maybe high school, maybe college, somewhere, and you learn about the age of the universe, you learn about cosmology, you learn about so many things, and it kind of goes, okay, I have this belief, this deep-held belief from my spirituality, from my religion, from wherever, that is contradicted by facts, right? By evidence, by things that are unquestionable, or at least like have so much more evidence that it's overwhelming than the belief that you hold, right? And so then you are in what we call a state of cognitive dissonance. You are trying to reach cognitive consonance, which is when your beliefs and your behaviors match your knowledge. Or your behaviors match your beliefs, essentially, right? You walk the walk. And so your brain wants to reach consonance. It wants to be back to a state where it's like, yes, my beliefs in the world match. And the issues with cognitive dissonance are how we deal with it, right? So cognitive dissonance, a lot of people use as a term for the negative side of it, your beliefs disagreeing with your knowledge of the world. But anytime you learn something new that changes your view on something, you're on something, you experience a level of cognitive dissonance. Now, many people may be able to go immediately into a state of consonance because they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? And you just, boom, it's right in there. But when it's something that's deeply held in a belief and a behavior, if it's something very cultural, if it's something that is very traditional, those kinds of things can be harder to separate yourself from. And that's when we can fall into sort of negative responses to those things, right? Because you can be given information about factual things, right? You can be given, we see this a lot in political debate and whatnot, that people will forgive someone on their side of committing some kind of horrible act, but then chastise or demonize someone on the other side for that same thing, right? And it's because it's difficult for you to say, I support this person's beliefs, but I don't support their behavior. And yet for the person that you don't agree with their beliefs, you say, well, yeah, that behavior is awful, right? So in that instance, you're maintaining your cognitive dissonance by rationalizing that those things kind of don't apply in that situation, or you ignore it. You kind of push it to the side, right? You can just avoid the issue altogether. So that, we all experience this all the time. And it's really just how we respond to that cognitive dissonance that can be the problem. Because ultimately, your consonants should align with reality, with facts, with the way that you live and the world that you're around, because then you're going to be a lot more prepared for surviving in that world, for understanding that world, for being able to explain the things around you in a way that makes sense. And so that's where these negative behaviors and beliefs come in, right? And so a big one is when it's a belief that you and your local community or like a spiritual community or something like that share. You can often reinforce one another's falsely held rationalizations, and so it makes it harder to reach a consonance with the true facts. Instead, you just rationalize the issue away, maybe by some way of avoiding the facts, right? You bring in other information that's ancillary. This is when you get into those kinds of quote unquote debates where people are disingenuous, right? Or they try to change the subject. It's because the cognitive dissonance between what they know from the world and what they know inside themselves is so problematic, having to deal with that. Now, the question of why do we experience this? This is probably the bigger question that a lot of people have. Why is it that we have such issue taking on these new ideas? And, a lot of it comes from comfort and societal pressure, right? You're uncomfortable when you find out something you believe is not true and that you have to change your views, right? Because you're going to have to break apart a lot of things that are connected to that issue. And so if it relates to something that's deeply a part of you, then that's a lot of effort that you're going to have to put into it. That's a lot of work that you're going to have to put into it. And, it requires a lot of motivation to do so. So if you're told something but maybe in a negative tone, or someone says do your own research, right? These can also end up allowing you to have excuses for, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not motivated to do that. And so then you maintain your cognitive dissonance, or you start to ignore it. Your consonance basically just becomes ignorance. And there's societal pressures, right? Again, I talked about earlier about maybe you're a part of a group that holds certain beliefs that then don't align with reality. Then, you can end up feeling, even though your internal belief is changing, right? Oh, it's a Linus event. We've seen this event before. I'll go through it because I think the choice that we make actually matters. But yeah, so then what you can have is the societal pressure of those groups that kind of look at you and kind of you feel that pressure in yourself, and so you your behavior doesn't match your beliefs, right? So that's the cognitive dissonance, where you now understand the issue and you believe the difference, but then your behavior doesn't match that because you don't want to be ostracized from your community. Grr, sounds like those raccoons are back again. Filthy varmints. You turned up at the right moment, son. Could you do an old man a favor? Could you go around the corner and scare off those raccoons for me? They've been causing a real mess. Thanks. Make sure you give them a good scare so they never come back. Hey, Linus. You're cool, don't worry. It was me. I'm sorry. You're cool, man. Jazzy and Anna do this all the time. I find a lot of hot, fresh foods in these cans. Stuff that'll go to waste if I don't take it. It's a good point. It's a good point. Do you think there's something wrong with what I'm doing? No, it's a shame for food to go to waste. Thanks, Price. I knew you were an open-minded person. I feel good about what I'm doing. I'm not harming anyone. Yeah. No, I'm all about limiting food waste. You can go on home. I promise I won't rummage in George's can anymore. You can tell him you scared off the raccoons for good. Okay. Go for it, buddy. That's right, Gus is cool too. Oh gosh, I knocked things over. Wait! See, Gus gets it too. Alright? He's like, here, I'll just give it to you. I know what you were doing, Linus. If you need food, just ask. I don't want anyone in Pelican Town to go hungry. Aw. They updated these, didn't they? In the mod pack. Look at this. Gus looks different. Here, I've got a basket of zucchini fritters for you. Just make sure you dip them in my spicy marinara. Like, I feel like this shirt is different than what I remember, or this jacket, and the blue shirt underneath. Let me know if I'm right that these are different. This looks like a different Gus. Go on, take it. But it might not be. I just might not have paid enough attention to Gus before, you know? Ho ho ho, good old Gus. Man, my voices are not working today, y'all. I apologize. I know. I don't need to apologize, I know. A lot of y'all always tell me when I apologize about stuff. You're like, Price, you don't need to apologize about this. And I know. It's my natural response to a world that I grew up in. Another example of cognitive dissonance. I'll do this one because I engage in this, and I still engage in it, and I constantly rationalize this to myself. But eating meat, I grew up in a family that sells beef, so it's like my livelihood, my survival would not have been what it was if beef didn't exist and my family didn't sell it. So that causes me some dissonance. And just eating meat in general while also feeling very connected to animals and feeling feeling empathy for animals, right? I love animals. I love my cats. I love, cows and pigs and all that kind of stuff. And yet I'm okay with eating it, right? So that's some cognitive dissonance that I hold. That's the thing that I constantly rationalize with myself. And, that's, maybe that's an issue. Maybe that's an issue I got to deal with. Okay, we're going to go to sleep for the night. I don't know if this episode was on the shorter side or not, because paying attention to the time on my screen is difficult, but now it's at just at an hour, and so I think it'll be good. We'll see. Maybe I'll cut that other episode into a different place because I didn't do an outro. But anyway, y'all, with that, let's go ahead and say thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Stardew Valley. If you did, of course, please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're not already. All that stuff really helps. Go watch another one of my videos if you feel like it, because that helps with the algorithm. But most importantly, y'all, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I have been Price, and I will see y'all next time.